Hello and welcome back to a bonus special episode of the Think Rugby podcast. This is the Super Saturday squad reactions, so it's season 2, episode 29. Zav has decided to join us. He's recovered from his mystery illness. I'm not going to lie, Zav, I'm very surprised that nobody took the open free range opportunity and say what type of disease it was that you were suffering from. But hey, you're back, and I think you're feeling a lot better than on Monday night.
I'm almost back from the dead, some might say. I felt like I was on death's door. Anyway, yeah, I missed Monday. Absolutely gutted, but never mind. As Andy just alluded to, a little bonus episode. The teams are out. It's Ireland. We're going to try to break the duck. That's not once in Ireland since 2010, I think it is. Since 2010. So they're trying to break that duck. A 16 year in the waiting moment for Scotland. Are they going to do it? Well, I guess we'll find out very shortly. I'm really excited for this game, and I'm going to say it just now. I'm nervous. What's your initial thoughts leading into this game? Now, the team sheets have been released.
Yeah, Grant Gilchrist is regrettably in the squad, but apart from that, I don't think it's not a bad team from Scotland. And yeah, everyone might be a wee bit nervous because record against Ireland is 11 out of 11. That's losses, so he's got a 100% loss rate. And even if that does turn to 12 out of 12, I'm hoping that the manner in which the loss would come about would be different. That being said, this is the best Scotland have ever been playing in the Six Nations. They've got something to play for in the final week, and hopefully that's enough to break this hoodoo against Ireland.
Here's hoping. As you said, it's the first time Scotland will have the chance to win the Triple Crown. They've not won it in the Six Nations era, so it's been that long. Before my existence, and I think yours as well. So it has been a very, very long time in the making, if you like. But of course, it's Scotland's kind of bogey kind of ground, which is in Aviva Stadium. They've never won at the Aviva Stadium. It was actually at Croke Park the last time they won in Ireland as well. So they've never actually won at the Aviva. I think since they've changed from Lansdowne Road, I'm led to believe. And looking at the Ireland team just now, they've got O'Toole at loose head, Sheehan in the hooker with Furlong at tight head. I'll come back to the Furlong in a minute. We've got McCarthy and Tide-Burn in the second row, which is an incredible, almost world-class second row between them. You've got a back who are Conan, Van der Fleer and Doris. That's quite strong. Although I thought Timoney would maybe get in there to start instead of Van der Fleer. Gibson Park at 9, Fairley at 10. In the centres, you've got McCloskey. Andy Farrell's been back. McCloskey again. You've got Ringrose at 13 with O'Brien and Balakoon at 11 and 14. And then Osborne at 15. On the bench, you've got Kelleher, Milne, Finlay Beelum, Murray, you've got Nick Timoney, you've got Craig Casey, Frawley, and Bundy Aki is back in the squad for the first time this Six Nations campaign. It's a very strong Ireland team, as you'd expect for the last game, the Six Nations, for each respective team. And there's also a potential deciding fixture for who's going to go on and win the Six Nations, depending how the other fixtures go. But this is the first game of Saturday. A bit annoying it's the first game. I was hoping it was going to be the second game. Maybe I had a bit more suspense, but it'd be very long awaited, this England-France game, which will be in the evening time, or at night time almost, about a good 5 or 6 hours after the Ireland-Scotland game. So, yeah, it's going to be nervy. It's like I say, I just named the team there. It's a very strong team. I'm glad, I'm happy to see McCloskey from, if I was to be a neutral, I'm happy because McCloskey of merit deserves to be in there. Same with Balakoon, he's had a fairly decent tournament, although he slid off a little bit in the last round. Tide-Burn and McCarthy in there, that's the thing that kind of points out to me, as in, that's going to be maybe where the Ireland target, which is going to be maybe in the second row department, because they've got a by far superior second row department there. So at line-out time, I think they've really got to try to utilise that in attack and also defensive line-ups as well, which, as we know, Scotland can end up crumbling in the line-ups. Lately they haven't, but they have in the past. Quite notorious for doing so. So I think Ireland, they've got two very good line-up operators, especially in the name of Tide-Burn. So let's see how Scotland kind of compete against that. A bit nervous. What about Scotland team? You've got the Scotland team at hand. You can kind of list out and name out as we go.
Yeah, so very similar to my prediction earlier in the week. The squad, well, front row we'll begin with is Schumann, Turner, Fagerson. Fagerson comes back after Darcy Ray took his place last weekend. Then in the second row, you've got Max Williamson and my beloved Grant Gilchrist, who, yeah, I definitely wanted him there. Then in the back row, you've got Fagerson, Rory Darge and Jack Dempsey. Halfback, Ben White, Finn Russell, arguably the most, other than the French, the most in-form halfback pairing in the tournament. In the centres, Sione Tuipulotu captains this, and Hugh Jones is back after his Achilles scare against France. On the wings, you've got Kyle Steyn and Darcy Graham, and at fullback, you've got Kinghorn.
That's all right, to be fair. There's not many surprises, being honest. What do you make of Mark Williamson being in the squad, being at second row there? Would you ever maybe rather had somebody else in the squad, Alex Samuel? I think Alex Samuel was in contention. What do you kind of make of that second row pairing? I know you've got your grift with Gilchrist, and I do understand it. However, I think just by process of elimination, Gilchrist was always going to be in there for maybe a bit of experience. But what do you kind of make of that second row pairing, that kind of partnership?
It's definitely not first choice, and that's not just for Gilchrist, that's for both of them. I think going forward, I think that Gregor Brown's too good not to be included in the starting 15, and I think him and Scott Cummins were really clicking as a pair and really getting down to business. As you said, process of elimination, it was either going to be Alex Craig or Johnny Craig. Well, Johnny Gray's not in the Johnny Gray's not in the 23. Alex Craig is. Just quickly on the bench: Ashman, Sutherland, Ray, Craig, Bradbury, Horn, Rowe, Jordan. But yeah, for the second row, you'd probably go with experience and Gilchrist and Williamson. Yeah,
I think that's probably the best shout. I just think Williamson's not got that kind of current fodder. Same with Gilchrist to an extent as well. Just not got the current fodder to kind of cope, especially with Ireland. But I think that's why maybe Alex Craig's and also Mangus Bradbury on the bench, just to add that bit of bulk coming off the bench to really match that physicality, because you'll have Conan, Doris and Van der Fleer also running at you all day, along with the second row of Byrne and McCarthy, and you'll have Furlong for a good 30 minutes doing pretty decent before he maybe kind of tails off a bit. But that's what I'd like to mention in terms of front row. I was surprised that Darcy Ray never kept his place. To be honest, I thought he would maybe I think he had a really solid game last outing against France. With a phenomenal pack, especially in the scrum department. And then Fagerson came on and did just as good. So to be fair, maybe it does make sense to start Fagerson again. But I kind of thought, why change what worked? But again, Townsend went with this, so we just got to respect it and just kind of hope it kind of. Let's have hope that it works, and let's back Townsend's decision. But Ted Furlong, he wouldn't say he's been poor, but he's definitely not a 60-minute player anymore like he once was. He definitely struggles a bit more. Maybe he's more suited to coming off the bench these days and seeing out games instead of playing like a good 50, 60 minutes instead. He definitely struggles against Wales. He kind of lost the head again. And you kind of sometimes think, is Zander Fagerson in there? And I know he's at the other side of the scrum, but with Schumann and Fagerson in there, are they in there just to ruffle feathers and try to get under Tide Furlong's skin again and make him do something he regrets? Because Tide Furlong's definitely resorted to a bit of violence, should we say. Instead of just getting on with it, he really did lose the plot against Wales. A couple of game weeks ago, and I was very surprised, especially the calibre that he's been once upon a time. But I guess everybody does have their day, especially in the front row department. He's been kind of, I wouldn't say sussed out or found out. I think he's just got so much miles in the clock now that he's kind of, with the way in term, he's kind of struggling, especially this late on the tournament. So that also might have a factor. Give Scotland, especially the front row department, a little bit of an edge, is the miles in the clock, which may benefit us extremely.
Yeah, well, I think, as you alluded to there, I think Furlong, he has quite a lot of miles on his clock, so to speak. And I think Schumann would be probably the better option to try and target Furlong. I'm not saying for dark arts or anything, but just to try and wear him down. And then you've got Rory Sutherland on the bench, who probably do his, maybe not the same job as what Schumann would do, pretty good. But
he's not bad. He's not bad.
But I think the thing, or the reason why Fagerson is starting, is just to try and pick up O'Toole and try and get some scrum penalties. Would I be right in saying that he would maybe be Ireland's fourth or fifth choice tight head, loose head even. He's not really that far up. And what we've seen against France was they got a couple of scrum penalties, surprisingly against France, and that gave us the platform to go on and have a really quick start. And that's going to be the key against Ireland. 9 times out of 10, we're chasing these games because we're conceding points. If we get the platform to go kick the touch, get a couple of line-out throws that go right and get a few tries, then I think whoever scores the first 2 tries in this game will win. And I think that's going to come down to the scrum again this week.
Set piece has been huge this tournament. It almost is as if whoever's had the best set piece have been winning the games, whether it's line-up or scrums. So yeah, definitely. And I'm glad Scotland's kind of switched on to it. The scrum was a lot stronger the last game. The line-up's been a lot. Ever since Italy, the line-up's been almost spot on, to be honest. So I'm quite chuffed with that. But they are coming up against like some serious line-up operators. Van der Fleer and Tybert in particular, the ones that I'm kind of looking at, and they'll be the biggest threat for us. Scotland's bench, though. The bench does look like a bench that would try to see out a game, to be fair, coming on to really try to enforce things, just go through the dirty work, the tackles, the breakdown work and everything, and just really try to slow play down. It's not any kind of, other than Tom Jordan, I think there's not really overly, well, to be fair, George Horn, he's one that can turn it on, but in terms of forwards in particular, it's the kind of players that just kind of enforce the things that need to be done. And do the basics well for me, not flashy. But then look at the backs. It's just, I guess it does seem to be the opposite actually. George Honkello and TJ, who I must say, TJ is probably the best super sub for this whole tournament so far. He had a shaky start when he was starting, but as soon as he's been on the bench coming on, he's been superb every single game he's played. And I think Scotland's found like they're almost as if like they're Marcus Smith kind of player who can come on and make a difference to a game. Yeah, I think that's going to be Tom Jordan's role moving forward in the Scotland kind of Matchday 23.
No, definitely. I don't disagree with you there. In terms of the bench, the only thing I would say is I'm a little bit gutted that Freddie Douglas hasn't retained his place. He maybe didn't. He was maybe only going to be exposed to one game this tournament and maybe be used more in the summer and in the autumn. Yeah, I mean the fact that Ireland have went for 5-3 as well, not just 6-2, that kind of cancels each other out in that regard. But I'm also like, I'd like to see Freddie Douglas get tested against Conan and Van der Fleer. Van der Fleer being an ex-World Player of the Year as well.
I think he'd be all right, to be honest. I think he would manage it. It's a very high pressure situation, being in the second ever game for Scotland as well, going to the Aviva where they've never won. I think they are just looking at that experience and that kind of getting over the line. It's a game where you don't want to gamble too much because there's so much at stake. As I say, the Triple Crown and also potentially winning the Six Nations. It's hard, but I do feel for Freddie Douglas, because why would you get the nod against France, which is a must-win game, and then get dropped in another must-win game when he didn't do too much wrong, to be fair. He just, again, maybe have as many minutes as he had hoped, but for a debut, probably enough. But he maybe, if he had more, he could have showed more what he was capable of and what he could do.
Yeah, that's again not an awful lot to disagree with you there. But for me, I'm like, you're saying the experience and everything to get you over the line. That's true. But the likes of Gilchrist no, I'm not going to say Gilchrist. This team, you're saying, is very experienced and everything. They've never beaten Ireland. Why not try something different? Why not go for a disruptive little cunt of a player like Freddie Douglas and disrupt this Irish team? I'm not saying he's the start. I'm just saying, why is he not on the bench?
Yeah, I do fully get your point there, but I'm just trying to maybe explain or kind of give solutions to Townsend's. It's not necessarily just Townsend's thought process. It's also in the background staff. I keep forgetting his name. Defence coach, the ex-Northampton coach. Bloody hell, he maybe looked at it from a defensive point of view. Radford, that's it. Radford, yeah. He's looked at it from a defensive point of view. I feel I just thought, yeah, maybe Bradbury is the kind of player that maybe the way Ireland like to attack, and maybe Ireland are very quick over those breakdowns and they're going to have a lot of jackal opportunities, so they may be thinking just get Bradbury in for maybe a bit of domination. Having said that, I think Freddie Douglas is just as dominant, so I think it may be just a toss up of the coin. I honestly, I really can't distinguish why. I wouldn't like to put like a solid answer to why either, but I'm happy with the team nonetheless. On to predictions. This is a bit that I've been nervous to get onto, but we'll get onto it anyway nonetheless. I'm always going to back Scotland. Ireland, I wouldn't write off Ireland at all. They've been shaky, especially to start the tournament, but they've came right back into it into their stride and performed pretty well. I'm going to say, based off the two teams, Ireland's not at the peak of their powers and not full strength. Scotland, okay, are missing a few as well, but I think Scotland are going. Let's say Scotland by one. Fuck it, let's make it dramatic. Scotland by one. Oh no. Shit. Go on in, Andy.
Well, for those that tuned in on Tuesday when I uploaded the original episode, I'm going to repeat myself here and I'm going to say that Scotland are going to win by 5 and get the bonus point win. That being said, Darcy Graham's comments through the week, I think, is going to put a boot up the arse of the Irish. They're not going to like how Darcy Graham said that Ireland are there for the taking and that they are not as good as what they have been in the past. Just don't. We all know it, just don't say it.
Yeah. That's confidence, though. It is confidence. Hopefully, like I say, hopefully he's not going to unleash the beast there and ruffle too many feathers. But I guess we'll find out. But I'm going to go Scotland by 1. You say Scotland by 5. It could go. I just know one thing. It's going to be a very close. I think this will be the game of the tournament, just with what's at stake, with players just what's at stake and players just giving the absolute all. Not saying they haven't, but you always try to elevate your game for games like this. But from memory, the last few outings against Ireland, they've all been relatively close games, or for the most part, close games, for the most parts of the game. So, yeah, I am actually really looking forward to watching it. Where are you watching it? Is it down the pub you're going this weekend, or are you just watching the house, Andy?
Yeah, so the past 2 weekends I have been on taxi service, so I have been dry. And yeah, what I'm going to be doing is meeting up with the boys and I'll be going out to the pub. So whether I make it to see France-England is, I'm not sure, but we'll see. What about you, Zav? How are you going to be watching the game?
Like a rugby player. I'll be at a pub. I don't know if I'm drinking or not yet, but I am definitely going to go down to the pub. I'm down in Stirling, which is a few hours down south from here. So we'll be down there in, some might say, well, generations gone by, the kind of rugby hotbed and the place to be for rugby. Stirling County were once a very dominant side. Not that I'm going to their clubhouse or anything. I'm just going to be in Stirling watching a game with some family and friends. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. I'll be watching all the games throughout. So I think it'll be quite hard to refrain from maybe a couple of tenants or two. See how I feel at the time. But that would be me. So I should manage to watch all 3 games. Some people on the other side of the screen. But I'm just, look, I just love rugby, mate, and I just cannot wait for another Super Saturday. It's always a great spectacle. So here's hoping it lives up to the expectation that it's got.
Okay. Yeah. So are you not going to be drinking this weekend in case it affects how well your antibiotics are going to for the disease that you have? Is that why you're not going to be too sure about drinking anything this weekend?
No, you know what? See if Scotland do end up beating Ireland with a bonus point, and maybe we'll have a couple of pints. Maybe premature pints, but I'll have a couple. And if France lose and England win, I'll be out all night probably. And that is going to be the way it's going to go. Heard it here first. You'll soon find out if I'm absolutely rough as a barber's arse on Monday doing the podcast with you. But anyway, that's what we've got time for today. Thank you very much for listening. Don't forget to subscribe. Get your predictions in, especially now the team sheets have been out for a good couple of hours now as of time of recording. Yeah, don't forget to subscribe, share, comment, all that kind of jazz. And be sure to tune in to Super Saturday. It's going to be a good one. It's going to be a cracker. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.
Bye-bye.